Welcome to this week's edition of the Week in Triathlon. Without further ado, let's roll that intro and get stuck into this week's news. First up in this week's news is a tragic incident that happened in Southern California. Matia Korcsmaros, a 52-year-old aerobics instructor, was doing an open water swim as part of her triathlon training in Orange County, California, and was bitten by a great white shark that was approximately 10 feet, maybe even larger. The bite mark extended from her shoulder all the way down to her hip, and besides lacerations, she's got fractured ribs, and she also suffered, obviously, extensive blood loss. Doctors are unsure whether she will regain full use of her arm again. However, it was her triathlon fitness that effectively saved her life, because in spite of her injuries, she was still able to tread water until the rescuers managed to reach her. Then this past Monday was Memorial Day in the USA, and like every year, it was also the date for the Captex Triathlon in Texas. And this year was the third year in a row that the swim was cancelled as a result of strong currents. But what made this year extra different was that the bike section had to be cancelled due to road flooding as well. So all that was left was a 10k run for the triathletes. And I can imagine how frustrating that must have been for so many of the athletes, when after all they'd been doing all of their preparation, all their swim training, all their bike training, packed their wetsuit, packed their bike, driven all the way through to the venue, and all they've got to show for it at the end is doing a 10k run. But that's the way it rolls sometimes with the fickle weather conditions that we've got happening these days. And then the final piece of general news at the moment is the Professional Triathlete Order of Merit, in other words, the prize money leaders, as at the end of May 2016. That's for the 2016. So this measures from the 1st of January up until the end of May 2016. The women's leader at the moment is Heather Wurtel of Canada, and her total prize money so far for the year is $42,000, while the men's leader at the moment is Mario Mola of Spain with $67,500. But it must be noted, as far as this Order of Merit for pro athletes is concerned, is that an athlete with $6,500 earned over a 5-month period has made enough money to be able to make it onto the top 50 of the Order of Merit. So in other words, $6,500 makes you amongst the top 50 money earners in this professional sport of triathlon for 2016 so far, which is not really that much. And if you take into account that these pro athletes have to pay their airfares, they have to pay their hotel accommodation, and in many instances, they have to pay their race entries as well. That doesn't leave very much left to be able to live on out the other end of it. So yes, there are a couple of athletes that make good money, but the vast majority make very little indeed. Now to the world of Ironman, and Brent McMahon of Canada came within 12 seconds of breaking Mario van Houweke's 5-year-old Ironman record last weekend. Brent's winning time of 7 hours, 46 minutes and 10 seconds is the third time he's gone under 8 hours in his career. Then, as regards last weekend was concerned, there was only the one event, and that was the Ironman South American Championship in Florianopolis in Brazil. Elizabeth Lyles of the USA picked up the ladies' title in the course record, and then, as I mentioned earlier, Brent McMahon of Canada picked up the men's title, and that was obviously also in a course record, and as being the second fastest ever time in an official Ironman branded event. Then, as far as the coming weekend is concerned, there are 5 events this coming week, and we start off on Saturday the 4th of June, and that's going to be the Ironman 70.3 on the Kohala coast, and that's Hawaii. in the USA. Sunday, the 5th of June, a further 4 events taking place. Firstly, Ironman 17.3 Rally, North Carolina. Then there is Ironman 70.3 Krachgau in Germany. Then there's the Ironman 70.3 Rapperswil in Switzerland. And then the full distance Ironman Nice, and that's obviously in France. Now on to Challenge Family News. And Challenge Wanaka in New Zealand has announced that their half-distance event will now be branded as a challenge event as well. But please note, this is not a new event that's being created. It's the existing half-distance triathlon event that's part of the overall Wanaka Festival is now busy being branded specifically as a challenge event. So the two events of the half and the full will be challenge events, but the other events that are surrounding the same race weekend festival will still be branded separately. Just the half event has now moved from a separate branding into challenge family branding. As far as last weekend was concerned, there was the half challenge in Salou, Costa Dorada, that's in Spain. That's just south of Tarragona in the province of, in the autonomous region of Catalonia. And you had Susie Cheetham of Great Britain winning for the ladies, and Iñaki Baldelou of Spain winning for the men. This coming weekend on the 5th of June, that Sunday, will be Challenge Venice, and obviously, as all of you know, Venice is in Italy. Then on to the super quiet world of Xterra. At the time of recording this news insert, there have been 0 Xterra press releases at all this week. That makes it the second week in a row without any press releases out of the world of Xterra. And what I can tell you is that there were no Xterra World Tour events last weekend, and there are no Xterra events taking place this weekend. Now onto the world of the ITU. And this year, with the Olympic Games in Rio, the tiny nation of Barbados will have a triathlete by the name of Jason Wilson in the men's race. Note, in London 2012, Barbados had just 6 athletes in their entire Olympic team. That's 6 athletes allocated across 26 sports. I mean, in London, that's how many athletes England had, or Team Great Britain had in the London Olympic Games as triathlon. That's how many athletes the USA has got in this year's Olympic Games in Rio. So for the first time, we've got a Barbados athlete taking part in the triathlon at the Olympic Games. Brilliant development there. Then, as far as the weekend gone past is concerned, there were no top international events that took place on the ITU circuit last weekend. But this weekend, we do have something happening, and that's the ITU Duathlon World Championship, and that's taking place in Avilés, Spain. That brings us to the end of this week's edition of the Week in Triathlon. Remember to share this out amongst all your friends. Give me a thumbs up if you like this type of content. Hit the subscribe button down below to say subscribe. And remember, next week Friday will be another edition of the Week in Triathlon. And every single day of the week between now and next week Friday, there will be content coming out to you that will be either of a cycling, distance running, or triathlon type of nature. So subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for all of that content that comes out to you daily. Remember, until we meet again, stay carved up for the win. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.